What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I want to talk about some players that recently have signed with the Falcons. But as always, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you'll know when I've done Atlanta Falcons content. Also hit that like button. I do appreciate all of you guys who have recently subscribed to the channel. All of you guys who continue to share out this content to all of your Falcons groups on Facebook, on Twitter, and all of the social media platforms. I appreciate you guys. If you would like to follow your boy on Twitter, you can follow me at Jew Talk Sports. But as always, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. So yesterday, or actually today, I seen that Allen Bailey has re-signed with the Atlanta Falcons. He restructured his deal to save the Atlanta Falcons some money. I believe they say his deal is worth about $4 million. Allen Bailey is a defensive end / defensive tackle. He played both for us last year. He is a former player of the Kansas City Chiefs. And he came over last year. He played pretty solid for our Atlanta Falcons last year. They used him sparingly. He didn't get in the game a whole lot, but he was just like a rotational piece, or we used him as depth on the roster or on our depth chart. So I definitely see the Atlanta Falcons at this point are signing players that they can use as depth or bring in more depth behind Grady Jarrett and behind Tyler Davison. So I do think that this is a solid signing. I do think Allen Bailey is a pretty solid player. He pretty much is a guy against a run that can actually come in and set the edge when he's playing the defensive end position. And he also can have that physical presence when he's playing the 3-tech or playing at the defensive tackle position. He is a little bit undersized because I don't even think he's 300 pounds. He's like in the 280 range, 275, 280 range. So he's not the biggest guy to play inside, but he's pretty good. He's a veteran guy. He's a rotational guy. He's not a player that's going to get you a ton of sacks, but he is a solid player, a solid veteran player to have in the locker room. And he's a solid player that'll come in and play his role and basically try to shut down the run. He's not much of a pass rusher. So I believe last year he had about, I think, 1 sack for the team all season. So he's not a player that's going to come in and give you a ton of sacks or a ton of pressures. He's mainly used on first and second downs when we're in our base packages. So I do like the signing of bringing him back. But personally, as you know, I think that the Falcons still need to bring in another defensive tackle. I do think that we need to bring in like a 1-tech and a 3-tech, somebody that can play both. I don't think that we've addressed the nose tackle position when it comes to getting that player that goes about 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", with long arms. We have a bunch of guys that are all around the same size, like a Tyler Davison and a Grady Jarrett. And I do think that Grady Jarrett needs a running mate or a partner to go inside next to him. Tyler Davison, we did re-sign him as well earlier in the free agency, in the first week of free agency. But to me, Tyler Davison is a smaller defensive tackle. He goes about 6'2" or 6'3" as well, but he doesn't have long arms. And he's mainly also just a run stuffer. But him and Grady Jarrett are both undersized at that nose position. And I do want us to go out and sign a bigger player to go inside. I love what the Dallas Cowboys have done in free agency. Recently, I did see that they brought in Gerald McCoy, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, and they brung in Dontari Poe. So I really think that we need to add those space eaters inside. I don't really think that we've done a good job of addressing the nose tackle position, and I'm assuming that we're going to address it in the draft. In free agency, I would have loved for us to bring in someone like a Calais Campbell that goes about 6'7", 6'6", and have really long arms and can plug up the middle and also bring some pressure on a quarterback on passing downs. And I would have loved to bring in somebody that can also play the 1-tech, like a Dontari Poe or like a Gerald McCoy that used to play with Tampa Bay that's now with the Dallas Cowboys. And I really feel like with them adding that depth on the inside for Dallas, it really is going to help D-Law, DeMarcus Lawrence on the outside, who didn't have many sacks last year. But I think that with them adding those big guys in the middle that can help stop the run and also collapse the pocket, it's going to really help DeMarcus Lawrence be able to up his sack numbers. And I feel the same way with Tat McKinley and Dante Fowler. If you remember last season when Dante Fowler had his 11.5 sacks with the Rams, he had Aaron Donald in the inside, and he also had Brockers, who also is a very big guy with long arms, goes about 6'4", 6'5", really long arms, and is a run stuffer, and also can create pressure, can also collapse the pocket and stuff like that. So I really think that we need to bring in another impact player on the inside. To me, Tyler Davison and Alan Bailey, those guys are not really impact players when it comes to being inside. They're mainly base package players where they simply are going to help stop the run. They're not pass rushers. So I hope in the draft that we go out and draft maybe a Ross Blacklock from TCU, or maybe we can draft Raekwon Davis, who's about 6'7" and very athletic, can also penetrate and stop the run, but he also can get after the passer on third downs and on passing downs, or third and long. So I really think if we can go out and get one of those guys, since we didn't grab him in free agency, I really think that we're going to draft one of those guys, and hopefully we can bring in a guy that's like can be that one tech and also can play the 3 tech, but also can bring pressure on passing downs. I also would like to see our team possibly bring back Adrian Claiborne on the edge to also be one of those rotational pieces that won't cost a bunch of money. Now that we brought in Dante Fowler to be the number 1 pass rusher, him and Tat McKinley are probably going to be the two guys that we rely upon on third downs to be like our pass rush specialists. I do also see us possibly bringing in another pass rusher like a Calebon Chason at 16, or bringing in Terrell Lewis out of Alabama. Those are 2 guys that I really like off the edge, and I definitely would draft an edge player at 16 or a defensive tackle. But I feel like the biggest hole on the defense right now, other than cornerback, is the nose tackle position. We definitely have to address that 1 tech position, and that'll definitely help those guys that are on the outside bringing that pass rush. So I definitely, like I said, would go after one of those guys like a Ross Blacklock, a Javon Kinlaw if he's there at 16, or Raekwon Davis, maybe in the second round, or even Ross Blacklock maybe in the second round if they're still around. But I definitely think that we must address that nose position and get a player that's not the same size as like a Deidre Sanat, a Grady Jarrett. To me, all of our guys that we have playing inside have short arms, and all of them are around the same size. Grady Jarrett's about 6 feet. Deidre Sanat's about 6'1", and Tyler Davison's about 6'2". So all of those guys are very like tree stumps. They're very short arms. They very physical, like bulldogs in the inside, and they can do a good job of stopping the run. I just think that we need one guy that's like a big, tall, long arm plugger. Like I want a Fletcher Cox on this team. I want a Calais Campbell. I want one of those big guys that disrupt the game. And they can do multiple things, not just be in the middle, but they also can create havoc and they can force double teams. Because I'm tired of seeing Grady Jarrett being the only guy always being double teamed in the middle. And the guys that we currently have playing next to Grady Jarrett, like Tyler Davison, you don't have to double team Tyler Davison because he doesn't bring that type of impact. You don't have to double team a guy like Alan Bailey because he's another guy that you can just man up and basically handle him. We need somebody that's disruptive next to Grady Jarrett, like a Derek Brown in this draft, or like Raekwon Davis, somebody that's bigger than Grady, but that's very physical and that can definitely stop the run and definitely collapse the pocket to help those guys that's coming off the edge and force one-on-one matchups with Dante Fowler on the outside and one-on-one matchups for Tat McKinley. Because I feel like the last couple of seasons, we haven't had anybody in the middle that could create havoc other than Grady Jarrett. And teams would just basically double team Grady Jarrett on the inside. And then that would basically free them up to have extra guys helping on the outside, helping on the Vic Beasley or helping on the Tat McKinley. Because they really didn't need anybody else to help double team. So if we can have 2 nose tackles that is creating havoc in the middle, you can't double team everybody, and that definitely will free up and create one-on-one matchups for Dante Fowler and create one-on-one matchups for Tat McKinley on the outside and the John Kaminsky and all of those guys that will be rotated in and out. But with that being said, we also re-signed yesterday, Leroy Reynolds, the linebacker. He played, I believe last year, they say he played with the Cincinnati Bengals, but he was on our Super Bowl team in 2016, and he also was on our team in 2017. I actually went to high school with Leroy Reynolds. I grew up in the state of Virginia, and we did attend the same high school, Maury High School in Norfolk, Virginia. So I know a lot about Leroy Reynolds as far as the way that he plays the game. He's about 6'1", 245 pounds to 250 pounds. He's a very fast, athletic linebacker, can go sideline to sideline, similar to a Deion Jones, because he's a smallish linebacker, but he's very good in special teams. And I really believe that's the reason that the Falcons brought him back, because if you remember in 2016, he was an excellent special teams player on kickoff returns and on covering punts. He was a very physical linebacker. He's a guy that plays the run very well. He's not the best in coverage, but he's definitely a thumper. He'll come down and hit you. He's very physical. He loves physicality, and he's one of those guys that will lay the wood on you. So I'm happy to see Leroy Reynolds, back with our team. Like I said, he is a very athletic linebacker. I can definitely see him getting some playing time and being like a depth linebacker where they rotate him in, kind of how they were using the Foye at Luakon last season. I definitely can see him getting some snaps, a couple snaps a game, but mainly I see him as a special teams ace, one of those guys that we use on special teams to go down and cover punts. He's kind of going to replace a Kamal Ishmael type player like we had. That's a Swiss Army knife. I could see him definitely taking the place of Kamal Ishmael, who we cut or who we decided not to re-sign after having him on the team for years and years and years. So I definitely think that it was a great pickup to bring Leroy Reynolds back. Leroy plays the game with a lot of passion. If you go watch some of the videos that they have on Twitter and on Facebook and on the Atlanta Falcons homepage, he was the one who came up with that slogan, "Eat, dog, eat." And he was one of the guys that was talking in the huddles before each game, because he's a very motivational type player, plays with his hair on fire, and is the ultimate teammate, and a guy that is a glue guy on your team, a guy that's going to come in, do his job, bring his hard hat to work every day. And he's kind of that junkyard dog type player. So I'm definitely glad to see him back on the team. Definitely glad to see, him coming in and being one of those depth pieces for our Atlanta Falcons. I don't expect him to do too much other than be that special teams ace that you can count on and be that linebacker that you can count on in rotation. If anybody gets hurt or something like that, he could definitely come in and get some snaps, especially in the base formation in our 4-3 defense. He definitely can come in and go downhill like a Devondre Campbell can go downhill and make some tackles and blitz and stuff like that. So definitely good to see a familiar face back on the Atlanta Falcons. I definitely think it was worth bringing him back. He's still very young, only 29 years old. So he still has a lot of juice left in the tank. He's never been like a player that plays a ton of snaps. So he should have a lot of tread on his tires, and glad to see him back on a veteran minimum deal. I'm glad to see him I'm glad to see us bring him back. Definitely a player that I think can come in and have an impact and do his job. But heading into the draft, as I was talking about a little bit, I definitely think that we need to bring in a nose tackle, and I definitely think we need to bring in a defensive back in this upcoming draft. Now, personally, if you're asking me who I would bring in, I wouldn't go with a defensive back at number 16. I definitely would stick with an edge rusher at 16 because it's a ton of cornerbacks in this draft. In the second round, I would definitely look at drafting A.J. Terrell, the cornerback out of Clemson. He goes about 6'1", 6'2", long arms, physical, an athlete, very fast. Can come downhill and make tackles. And also when he gets his hand on the football, he can turn it into 6 points. He can definitely take it to the house, kind of like a Robert Alford. So I definitely would love to see us bring in A.J. Terrell maybe in the second round. Another player that may be there in the second round is the cornerback out of TCU. I'm a big fan of the cornerback out of TCU as well. He has very long arms as well. Is a ball hawk, and he's a physical player that will come down and hit you as well. And every time I talk about this kid, I always forget the cornerback's name out of TCU. His name is very different, but I always forget about his name every time I get up here. So please forgive me. But if you go and look him up, he's a very physical cat. I also put, I think I put his name like on, I talked about him a little bit on Twitter, but he's definitely a physical cat. A guy who can definitely get his hands on the football and is a playmaker. And definitely, I think he'll be around in the second round. But definitely go check the kid out. If his name comes back up to me, comes to me, I'll definitely spit it out. But can't think of it at this time. But another corner out there that I think we could possibly take a look at is the kid Bryce Hall out of Virginia. I talked about him a lot as well. He's another kid that I think is very physical, plays the ball very aggressive, and I definitely could see us bringing him in the draft as well. And then another position that I think we also could look at bringing in the draft possibly would be linebacker, because we did let go of Devondre Campbell. I could definitely see us going in and drafting a linebacker maybe in the second or third round. If we go at number 16 with a linebacker, I would like to see somebody like a Zach Bond if he's there. In the first or second round, Zach Bond is a very versatile type player. We can use him in pass rush, and we can use him as a linebacker. So I can see if they drafted him at 16, I would be mad with a Zach Bond at number 16, just because he can be also used as an edge rusher. So he's kind of like killing two birds with one stone. You can cover that linebacker position, and then on third downs, you can slide him down into the defensive end position where he's coming off the line, coming off the edge and bringing some pressure off the edge. So I think with a Zach Bond, you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. But I think Calebon Chason, as y'all know, who I love, the kid out of LSU, he's another guy that can do both as well. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone with him as well, where he can play the edge and he can drop back into coverage and play that linebacker role as well. So those two guys are two guys that I definitely think are deserving of the number 16 pick. Another guy that I think we could shock everybody with, if they did go like a pure linebacker at the 16th pick, who I think will still be there, will be the kid Queen out of LSU. He also played with Calebon Chason, and he's strictly a linebacker. He's not an edge rusher. He's strictly a linebacker. If they wanted to go with a full-time linebacker, if they don't believe that Ofoye Oluokun can fill the shoes of Devondre Campbell, they may decide to go with a linebacker like Queen, who's definitely a very physical guy, very quick guy, athletic, just like a Deion Jones. And if we were able to bring him in, we really could create mismatch problems and havoc, because both of those guys are very fast, quick, can get their hands on footballs, intercept footballs, and they both can come downhill and thump. So they probably will be one of the best pairings, linebacker tandems in the game, if we do go in and bring Queen in and bring in and keep Deion Jones, at the middle linebacker position. Those two guys, Queen and Jones, would be a lethal linebacking pair. Jones and Zach Bond, that also would be a dangerous pair. And I think Ofoye Oluokun is going to shock a lot of people if he does get that starting role. Ofoye Oluokun is another guy that's very athletic at the University of Yale. He did play safety, so he's another guy that has very good range, is good in coverage, and I think he's ready to fill that role of a Devondre Campbell. So don't sleep on Ofoye Oluokun. They may just stick with Ofoye Oluokun and let him be the starter and go strictly with a pass rusher or edge rusher at 16, or that nose tackle. But with that being said, you guys let me know what you think about the video. Let me know about what players you think that we possibly could bring in this draft. I'm definitely excited about the new uniforms and ready to see what the new uniforms look like. I do believe that we're going back to the black uniforms as our home uniforms. I think the red uniforms may turn back into like an alternate uniform, which I'm all for. To me, the red uniforms look too familiar, look too similar to the Arizona Cardinals. To me, with that red, to me, our jerseys and Arizona's jerseys kind of look similar. So I definitely think that it's time for our Atlanta Falcons to go back to black and let that be the home uniforms. Hopefully all black, where we have black jerseys, black pants, and hopefully we have the pants that we can go in and out, where we can change to different color pants, like maybe the black jerseys and white pants. Maybe we can bring back the gray or silver pants, would be pretty cool. But hopefully we can go back to mixing and matching. But I do want the black jerseys back, the all black jerseys. Hopefully that turns into like our home uniforms, goes back to the traditional uniforms that we wear, like we wore in the 90s when they were calling us the Dirty Birds. I hope we go back to those black uniforms. But I do think that the uniforms are going to be very nice and something sleek, chic, something that you're going to really like, and something that's going to make our team look very tough. And to me, the black jerseys make the team look really, really tough, rough and tough. So I definitely like the black, kind of like the Raiders with that black, with the black and the red and the hint of gray. I would love to see that on back on our Atlanta Falcons players. So with that being said, that's all I pretty much have for you guys today. As always, being that we are in the season of the coronavirus right now, dealing with all of the different things that are going on, definitely continue to wash your hands. Please practice social distancing as they're asking. If you don't have to go out, definitely stay in the house with your family. Spend some time with your family. I'll continue to drop videos for you guys, so you definitely have something to do, have some content to look at. You guys definitely keep sending me those questions, whether it's on the send me those questions, whether it's through the comment section, whether it's through Twitter. I've had a couple fans send me questions on Twitter. However you would like to reach me, definitely shoot me questions. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions you may have. But as always, this has been your boy Jew signing out. Like I said, stay safe out there. Continue to wash your hands. Continue to practice social distancing. If you don't have to go to work, unless you're going out to the grocery store or something like that, or you're taking somebody to the doctor or the hospital or whatever, definitely do your best to try to keep your germs to yourself. And definitely, if you do have the coronavirus, I pray that all is well with you, that you guys continue to stay hydrated, drinking a lot of fluids, water, Gatorade, Powerade, Propel, whatever the drink is of your choice. Definitely stay hydrated out there and just be very careful, because germs, you can't see them, so you never know who has the coronavirus. But all of the ones that do have the coronavirus, I'm definitely praying for you guys. But as always, this has been your boy Jew signing out. I'll holler at you guys at the next video. And as always, Falcons Nation, rise up. Peace. And I'll holler at you guys. All right.